Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, we've all lived long enough to truly understand race, ethnicity, and nationality play a pivotal role in our lives and in society, from standardized tests in school to filling out U.S. Census data, even the medical forms. Everyone is asked to check a box. But for my guests today, I say one box just doesn't tell the whole story of their family history. And I want to introduce you to LaRayia Gaston. She runs a vegan bodega in Metro Atlanta. Now, ethnically speaking, she is Puerto Rican, Haitian, and Cuban, but she identifies simply as a beautiful black woman. She is proud Afro-Latina, so she's never had an identity crisis. And also here with us today is Jackii de la Rosa. Her parents are Dominican, and she also proudly identifies as a black woman and spends a lot of time educating folks about what that brand, if you would, means. And then we've got Michael Cortez. He is black, Native American, Mexican, and Colombian, and he gets a whole lot of questions and doesn't mind answering every single one of them. And then we've got Mario Reyes. He is of Puerto Rican descent with deep family ties, the advocates of the Puerto Rican Liberation Movement. Welcome back to the show, Mario. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being willing to have this really candid conversation about something that I have to imagine is the most asked and perhaps most annoying question of your lives, which is?
What are you?
What are you? That's across the board, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
As children, as adults, I mean, are people still asking that question? Or did it start as kids?
Oh, yeah, definitely. With looking like me and having the last name Cortez, yeah, I got asked that a lot. And everybody wanted to know. It's like, especially when I didn't have my hair locked too, and it was all loose and curly, kind of on the silky, like Redondo Beach waves over here, like my brother. You know, they're just wanting to know. So I said, sure, you know, this is what I am, this is what I come from. But the question I always got is, okay, false dichotomies. Which one are you going to choose?
Oh, is that, you're all nodding. Which one are you going to choose? And that's not even a fair it's not a legitimate question.
No.
It's almost a way for them to assess how they should value you, more so than it is how you identify.
Exactly.
And like, do you agree?
I definitely agree too. I've had the same experience, my last name being de la Rosa. I also speak fluent in Spanish. Spanish was my first language, and so when people meet me and they hear me speak Spanish, they're like, wait, where are you from? And they just can't believe when I'm like, I'm a black Latina, I'm an Afro-Latina, and I'm proud to be that.
Yeah.
I often find myself having to explain to people because some people just don't understand what that means. And so before I used to be very defensive about it because I'm like, we're in 2025. Why are people not understanding that you can be two things?
Yeah.
And so, but now I come from a place of love, and I'm like, you know what? If I care, if I want to show you, if I want to educate you, I'm going to take the time.
If it's going to be a teachable moment.
Absolutely.
But as children, kids don't know anything about a teachable moment. How frustrating was it just as children having people ask you that question once you were old enough to understand why people have to feel like they have to assign a race to you, an ethnicity?
I think as a child, you learn that your youth is already being introduced to boxes.
Yeah.
They're already being introduced to, well, we are all in a specific box, which obviously comes from colonization, but that's where the bigger issue is. And adults have already defined the boxes, and kids are trying to figure it out, but you realize it's taught from the top down. And in your interaction, you realize that this is literally, you're being put in a box and assigned things while you're still figuring out who you are.
Right.
Being assigned that. So coming from a home that we knew we were black, there was no question about it. When people would always give me these boxes, there was always this resistance of, you can't tell me who I am because I already knew before I left this house.
So obviously the conversation about you never having identity crisis, it was very clear. Your parents made it clear that you were going to embrace all of this. And just because the world says there's the box doesn't mean you're going to fit into it.
It's the limitation of choice. Whether it's our electoral system or having to choose our identity, they give us these boxes. Unbeknownst to them is that we could circle the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because we fit a much larger dichotomy than most people do.
Let me ask you this. How much of it is insisting that, as you put it, Mario, I need to figure out which part of this I'm going to value the most, versus sometimes it's just not knowing any better? I remember my freshman year at Howard University, Thursday night, watching Different World, doing hair. Yes. And one of the sisters said something about getting a relaxer. Yes. And I said, well, all the black girls have it. She was like, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. And there was a pounce, like, you are, and
absolutely
just didn't know any better.
My experience was just like this. I used to go to hair salons, Dominican hair salons specifically, every Sunday. And I would go in there and I would be called out. So I'm one of, called out in the sense of, oh, your hair's too coarse, or you need a relaxer. Oh, this is going to take too long. And they'll speak Spanish in front of me and like have these conversations. And that kind of showed me as a young girl, like, wait, I'm different. How am I different? Let me learn how I'm different. Because in my house, unlike your experience, I was taught not to identify as a black person. And so it gets me emotional because I've always had to fight, even in my own family, to identify and accept my blackness.
Can we talk about that a little bit more? And I want to respect the sanctity of this moment and your family.
Yes.
But why, is it the obvious of why play down the black part, so to speak?
Yes, I think our history, the Dominican Republic's history, there's a lot of history within not accepting and washing away our blackness in Dominican Republic. And I think it's something that if you don't educate yourself, or if you don't choose to educate yourself, then you're going to be, it was a colonized move. Like we spoke about this a little bit earlier. If you don't want to accept it, or if you're so, if you want to accept being, if you find something easier, you're going to accept that. And so I think that sometimes, I know for me, my family felt that my life would be easier by just accepting more of my white side.
It's a power move for upward mobility.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was just, that was an experience that I had to deal with.
We're going to pause right here because I want to bring you both into this conversation. We've got to take a quick break. More on this conversation about being Afro-Latino, Afro-Latina, and a beautiful conversation right after the break. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I really want to thank you for season 3 of Portia. It's because of loyal viewers like you that we keep getting to share this daily dose of positivity all across the country. So just a reminder, I still need you to like, comment, and subscribe. And go ahead and tell your friends. You can catch us now in Orlando, in San Francisco, in Atlanta, and all across the country on Fox Soul. Tell your friends. We'll see you soon on Portia.